Hi, welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking to you about negotiating on the purchase of a new property. So it can take weeks or even months to find your dream home, so it's important that you know what the next steps are. And one of the next steps is negotiating on the purchase price. And I'm going to share with you my key top tips to help you do that. The first key top tip is for you to understand what's happening in the local market. And there's some really good resource tools that will help you to do that, which are Zoopla and Rightmove. These websites and property portals will tell you how long the property's been on the market for, whether there's been any price reductions, what other houses are sold for nearby. All of this will help you in negotiating with the property purchase price. For example, if a property's been on the market for over 6 months and had multiple price reductions, the chances are the vendor's going to be quite keen and almost quite desperate to sell, which may well work in your favour. The second top tip is understanding the vendor's financial circumstances. Now, I don't mean finding out what they earn or what they've got in the bank account, but more about, well, how much have they spent on the property? Because if you've got a vendor that's been in the house for maybe 2 years, but they've upspec the kitchen and they've upgraded the bathrooms, the chances are they've got a sale price in mind, and that sale price will be trying to recoup some of the costs they've spent on it. But on the flip side of that, if you've got a vendor that's been in the property for 15 or 20 years, the chances are they're sat on quite a lot of equity, and there might be a bit more of a room for negotiation, as they don't need every last pound to help them with their onward purchase. Thirdly, viewings. So if you get the opportunity to speak to a vendor on a viewing, I would encourage you to do so. Find out why they're moving, what's motivating them. If you've got a couple that are divorcing, they're probably quite keen to get the property sold. Likewise, if you've got a family that want to move to a school catchment area for their kids' new school term, again, they're probably going to be quite keen to move quite quickly. So you need to find that out. And then number 4 is you. So sell yourself. If you are a first-time buyer, you've got a cash deposit in the bank account, you've got a mortgage in principle ready to go, you've obviously got no house to sell, so you're chain free, then you are the golden ticket for any vendor. So it's important that you really play on that and make them aware of the benefits. If they've got a couple of offers on the table or a couple of people interested, selling to someone with no chain or a first-time buyer that's keen and motivated to move is going to be far more attractive to them than someone that's got to sell their own house, because if that falls through, the whole chain crumbles. So really, really play on the fact you're keen, you're motivated, you're ready to go, you want to move quickly, there's no chain, which is going to minimise the onward chain collapsing. And also tell them, don't be afraid to talk about the emotional side of things. The chances are that vendor's built up quite an emotional attachment to their house. They've made lots of cherished memories in the property. So it will mean a lot to them to know that you're going to go in there and look after the property in the same way as they did. So again, share that with the vendor. You know, if it's going to be your family home for the next 5-10 years, you're going to raise children in there, you're going to look after it. You'd be surprised how much that means to a vendor, and will sway their decision when accepting an offer. So lastly, number 5 is your offer. So this one isn't rocket science. When it comes to offers, start low, but importantly, don't start too low, because you are at risk of offending the vendor. If their property's on the market for $275,000 and your opening offer is $225,000, chances are that's going to rub the vendor up the wrong way, and they might just dismiss any further offers from you. So it's important that you start low, but not too low. And you're starting low with a view of submitting another 1 or another 2 offers thereafter, and that's part of the negotiation process. So as an example, property's on the market for $275,000. You like it, but you want to get the best deal, you might start your opening offer at £260,000. The vendor might reject that, but you should encourage them to give you a counter offer. So the vendor might come back and say, it's on for £275, we're not willing to sell it for £260, but we would consider £270. So you then might go back to them and say, look, well, I'm not willing to meet you at £270, but I'll put an offer in at £265. Chances are they might then come back, there's a possibility they might accept it, there's a possibility they might reject that. So at that point, you would put in your best and final offer of what you're willing to go up to. And that might be something like $267,500. Now, most vendors in this market would be a bit silly to reject an offer from someone that's keen, willing to move, going to look after the property, can move quickly, no chain. An offer £7,500 below asking price is reasonable in this climate. Likewise, you've saved yourself £7,500 on the asking price. When it comes to new builds, it's a little bit different in the negotiations, because you're not dealing with vendors, you're dealing with national house builders who have sales targets to hit. you're negotiating more on the incentives that are available rather than the purchase price. There are some builders out there that will accept offers below the advertised price, but most of the big national providers tend not to do that unless their house sales fallen through or they're near their financial year end and they're trying to get rid of their stock quickly. So normally it's unlikely but not impossible to negotiate on the purchase price for a new build property, but you can negotiate on the incentives. So some examples of incentives are things like upgrading the flooring to ceramic tiles. It could be upgrading the bathrooms. It could be putting lawn on, that patio in the back garden, outside tap, outside lights. Other incentives are things like paying your stamp duty, paying your solicitor's costs. Now, generally speaking, I would expect you to be able to negotiate somewhere between 1.5% and 3% of the property value in regards to incentives. So that's all from me in regards to how to negotiate on your property purchase. I hope you found this information useful. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any more questions regarding how to negotiate the best possible deal on your property purchase. And let me know if there's any other topics you would like me to cover in my next video. Thank you for watching.